So next up, I have my questions, well, some answers to the questions that you guys have submitted. So, how do you make sure that your in-house skills are as good or better than external resources? This is a tricky one because I guess you can't really. I mean, there's always, in the same as with anything, there's always going to be someone better out there. In one way, I firmly believe that in-house resources, while you might not necessarily always have all the skills, the fact that you're that hands-on and you really understand your product and you have that product knowledge from working inside a business, I think that's invaluable. And that is how you make sure that while your skills might not be as polished as those of external resources, that you will create better outcomes that sell your product better because you really understand it. I think that's the number one. And also, just whenever you do get an opportunity to learn to work with agencies and stuff, like really like absorb what they're doing, like be nosy, like look at the way they approach things, and sometimes you can take those things and you can bring them in-house, as well as making sure that, you know, you're hiring, like when you are hiring, like in the same way I said, like hire students, or like champion new talent. That is one actual really good way to make sure that your in-house skills are as good as external resources, because, you know, that's the same thing that all the agencies, all those external resources are doing. They're going around the graduate shows, they're meeting all the best students and hiring them. And, you know, those are people who, if you're paying an agency, will probably end up doing most of the design. So why not just do it yourself, meet a great student, bring them in-house, and then you know that they're just as good as what other people will have, essentially. So question 2, so short and long-term resources to think about as a startup, early stage, or a years old business. I think that early stage, I think one resource that is useful is that if you are going to be doing some design yourself, or you are going to try and do things yourself, just make sure that you do have like the things you need in terms of like typefaces or computer programs. Like, you don't need to spend a lot of money on it. Maybe it's just like a case of just doing like the free trial of programs and just seeing if you can do it and you do want to do it, because I think that it hugely helps having the right equipment. And in the same time, as a resource, like making really good friends with all your suppliers. So if you're going to have, like, if you're going to need to be printing labels or making any kind of packaging, getting to know the people who do it, and visiting their facility and understanding the capabilities of like their process is a hugely important resource, I think. In terms of long term, as I said, it's so hard to plan long term when you're a small business. I guess in terms of long term resources, making relationships or making kind of bonds with people to help you, or like hiring people that you think you can really grow with and that you really like, is a great long-term resource. I mean, I think that some of the people in the Camden team, like I've been there for 8 years, Joey, who was only Camden's like first ever employee, is still in the business. Like, that is the ultimate in long-term resource. If you hire the right people early on, they'll stay with you forever. So that's a great tip, I think, when you are starting to think a little bit bigger and being able to bring people into your business. So question 3, this is, I guess, kind of a big question. So what do I wish that I knew a long time ago instead of now, which made an impactful, positive experience in my career journey? There's a few things I could say here, but I think that one thing that I think is relevant, or I think is a useful lesson, is to try not to overcomplicate things. Sometimes like the simple, obvious choice is the right one. This is because, as I said, like potential consumers don't necessarily have a lot of time to get to know you. So making your brand really simple and easy to understand is really important, and it will save a lot of time. Like, when I look back on stuff we did or stuff I did starting out, like often it was just way too complicated. Like there was just lots of like levels of confusing references and things I brought into the design that maybe like was interesting, but it didn't necessarily help people understand who we were. And I think the ultimate aim of building your brand and establishing your branding is making yourself easy to understand. So making sure that the people who are buying your product understand why they should be buying it and why they like you, essentially.
I've got a question. Something that stood out to me was the fact that you almost like choose everything, allow yourself the opportunity to explore those various different designs, allow yourself the opportunity to chop and change as you see fit because you're starting out. Did that point of view extend to other parts of the business as well? Or is that just something you can carry towards the design? Because I find myself like locked into previous things that may not have been working as effectively as I thought they might. Similar to like the designs, you found yourself locked into designs that you weren't as effective as you thought they might be, and you've changed. But is there any other bits? Is there any other spaces in the business where you took that philosophy and extended it?
I think, yeah, in loads of other places, we've always, like at Camden, certainly, there's always been like a big like environment of change. Like we change things a lot, and there's always been that thing like if things aren't working, like feel free to completely change them. So that might mean changing, improving recipes of like what are like our core or main products. That might mean kind of changing like the structure of teams, changing processes of like how you do things, like how you send your products out to consumers, or how you sell things. Like, yeah, I think that change, like there is literally no rule that says that just because you did things once one way, or you used to do things one way, that you can't try again, and also that you can't go back to the first way if you try something else and it's less good. So yeah, I think as you get bigger, like change becomes more risky because your business has a bigger turnover, or like you've got more riding on it. So while you're small, like just change all the time. I don't see why not.
Hmm. Thank you.
Uh,
Um,
did I
we've
see
got a question
questions?
from Beverly here. The question was, can you explain a bit more about the full immersion of a brand?
Yeah, I guess by that what I mean is, so say you have someone starting to work with you, or who's going to design stuff for you. By that I mean like allow them to get to know everything about your business. So I guess it's more, yeah, that they're getting immersed in your business so they can work on your brand. So maybe I think of a good example, like if you have a shop, maybe they come work in your shop for a day. If you have like an online business and you respond to a lot of queries, maybe they help you out like on your customer service desk. Maybe they see how you make your product, or if you have an important supplier that you buy an ingredient from, maybe they come along and visit that for you, with you, and you kind of, and they get to know all those things, because what they can then do is they'll be like picking up all these little details. They'll kind of maybe be noticing things from their perspective of a designer. Like if you're kind of bringing in some design expertise, maybe they'll pull out something that you don't know necessarily yourself yet is that important, but instinctively you're really expressing it.